Tonight, a Port Lincoln mother calls for changes to parole legislation after her son's killer is released. And a mysterious white powder in a package forces an evacuation at the Port Lincoln prison. Good evening. A Port Lincoln mother is calling for changes to parole legislation after the man who murdered her 9-month-old son was released without her knowledge. The woman fears for her family's safety as well as the community he's been released into.
A push for victims' rights to know when and where prisoners are released on parole. Valerie Staunton's baby boy was brutally murdered by her ex-partner in 1995. He was jailed for at least 9 years and had the sentence extended to 14 years on appeal. Last December, the man was released on parole and has been living in the local region since April.
When I knew he was released, it was like Cameron had been killed all over again.
Valerie claims that because he was paroled during the holiday season, she wasn't notified.
I questioned why I wasn't told. Then they finally got back to me and said, we don't call people over Christmas time because it can be upsetting.
She's now campaigning for the policy to be changed.
Concern over that policy, which I've got a resolution for. I think parole board should maybe not grant any releases around Christmas time, and then that solves that issue.
She claims had she known, she would have better prepared for the possibility of making contact with him.
He was in the pre-release centre around Christmas time, which is in Adelaide, and I was in that area. There could have been an opportunity where he was out in supervised visit to the community, and I could have been in the same place. Through the whole parole process, the parole board refused to tell me where he was going to be living because he has a right to privacy.
Through the years of asking the tough questions about the parole process and working with the Commissioner for Victims' Rights, she hopes no one else has to go through the same process.
I felt like I'm a trailblazer, like I'm pushing new ground in this process because it seems like it's never been done before, and I'm asking questions that people don't have the answers for, and that's concerning.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
Some staff were forced to evacuate from the Port Lincoln prison this morning after a letter containing white powder was discovered. Police say the letter was sent from a prisoner in the Port Augusta prison, meant for an inmate in Port Lincoln. Emergency crews and hazmat services were called to the scene to control the situation and assess the substance. Investigations are continuing. Broken Hill Police have had a busy weekend putting a stop to petty crimes. Officers say they're disappointed in shoplifters who almost made off with several items of clothing from a local business.
It may be school holidays, but crime doesn't take a vacation. Drugs continue to be a concern for Broken Hill officers after 2 people were allegedly found in possession of methamphetamine at the weekend. Police say 1 woman was found in a car near Will Street.
Acting strangely, acting suspiciously, and based on those observations, police searched the vehicle and located a small amount of methamphetamine, commonly known as ice.
A man was also spotted lying in a gutter on Micah Street acting erratically. Police searched the man and allegedly found cannabis and methamphetamine. Both have been charged with possessing illegal drugs. Meantime, it was a literal case of crime doesn't pay last week after 2 shoplifters, a man and a woman from Walgett, stole clothes from a store at Westside Plaza. Unfortunately for them, 2 officers patrolling the centre the next day recognised the thieves from CCTV footage and handed them both a $300 fine.
Those thefts really hurt retailers, so yeah, we're working hard to stamp them out.
Meanwhile, police are still on the hunt for another shoplifter who stole a bottle of whiskey from a local liquor store.
Unfortunately, theft from liquor stores is not uncommon, and we had an incident on Friday afternoon where a person walked into one of the liquor stores and stole a bottle of alcohol, and we're still investigating that matter.
Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
A man has died and another man is in a serious condition in hospital after a car rollover near Broken Hill. The crash unfolded 20 kilometres out of town along Menindee Road on Friday afternoon. The 57-year-old driver died at the scene while a 63-year-old man was flown to the Royal Adelaide Hospital for further treatment. Police are urging motorists to take extra care on the roads.
Fatigue, speed, all those characteristics, Patrick, are things that you've got to be careful of. Lots of animals near the roadway now, kangaroos, emus and the like, so you've just got to be very vigilant.
Police are still investigating the cause. A new water main is being installed in Melrose following years of major leaks and breaks in the current Giles Street pipeline system. SA Water says it's fully committed to reducing the impact on locals, but construction will take around 3 weeks to complete.
It's a welcomed upgrade by the local Melrose community. Over the past 5 years, there have been 4 major leaks and breaks in the Giles Street water main. Another 27 minor incidents have also been recorded in the wider Melrose area in that short amount of time. The upgrade has been listed as a priority fix.
We're replacing the pipe in Giles Street in Melrose. It's 220 metre length of pipe because of the recent break and leak history of that particular section. We're actually replacing the pipe with PVC pipe.
The new pipe has a life expectancy of 100 years and it'll be flexible and resistant to soil movement. Work on installing the new water main will begin tomorrow, while residents will be notified by SA Water of planned water outages.
Short periods of time of around 3 or 4 hours for each connection while we do the cutover from the old main to the new main.
It's all part of a multi-million-dollar upgrade to the state's water main network.
This particular section of pipe will cost about $50,000 to replace, but it's part of a program of $137 million of investment.
There will be traffic delays around Giles Street during construction. SA Water is urging locals to drive to the conditions and obey the road signs to ensure everyone's safety.
Local traffic management will be required for safety of our workers and also the community.
It's hoped the new water main will be flowing soon.
Connected and operating as part of our statewide network by about the end of July.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, NAIDOC Week kicks off with community members turning out in force for a march in Port Lincoln. Port Pirie Regional Council has allocated thousands of dollars to deliver a national standard sports precinct by October this year. The extra money will help pay for AFL standard equipment, with proceeds also likely to come from the sale of pickets around the Oval.
An extra cash splash for Port Pirie Sports Precinct, with Council allocating an additional $200,000 on top of its initial budget. It comes after the AFL was unable to provide funding for a $150,000 scoreboard, as well as other state-of-the-art equipment.
Goals, netting behind goals, coaches' benches, etc., as well as a scoreboard.
Council says it's a small price to pay to ensure the facility is world class. It's hoped the quality of the facility will encourage SANFL games to be played at the ground.
That's added only a small extra component to the overall cost, so our budget is still on track at around about $25 million.
Council is investigating the possibility of selling up to 4,000 pickets around the Oval to help foot the bill, with pickets located in higher foot traffic areas to come at a higher cost.
There's certainly been a lot of interest about names going on the picket. They're a solid plastic picket, so they will certainly be a long-term fixture at the Oval.
And across the road, the aquatic centre is nearly complete.
Indoor pool is tiled. We're almost ready for the water fun equipment to be put in.
Council says the sports precinct is on time and on budget for completion by October.
Memorial Oval Function Centre and the Aquatic Centre to lock-up stage by the end of July, and certainly they're travelling very well.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
NAIDOC Week has kicked off with local Indigenous and non-Indigenous community members turning out in force for the NAIDOC March in Port Lincoln. With the focus this year on Indigenous women, organisers were thrilled with those who made the effort to celebrate.
A moving representation of what this week means to our Indigenous communities.
If you look at history, our people gone before us, they had to march for our rights. So, that's essentially what NAIDOC Week was about to begin with, was marching for Aboriginal rights, and then it turned into a celebration of our history and our culture.
This year's theme is Because of Her, We Can, celebrating and recognising the importance of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander women.
Women are very important, and it's great to be able to honour them and their roles in Aboriginal communities.
We're celebrating our mothers and our grandmothers and ancestors, and ourselves as women and mothers and, you know, our future women.
Today's march signalled the beginning of the week of celebrations, with many more events planned.
We've got a list of activities. We've got the kids disco, elders lunch, a community barbecue and adults cabaret on Friday night to finish it off.
It's a celebration of, you know, your identity, your culture, your language, and everyone coming together, not just the Aboriginal community but other community members, to celebrate our culture.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
A dead whale that became beached at Point Lowly near Whyalla has now been recovered. The rare pygmy sperm whale beached itself on the beach late Saturday afternoon, but sadly had to be euthanised after volunteers and marine specialists could not shift it back into the water. The carcass has been transported to Adelaide, where experts will determine how the animal came into trouble. After the break, thousands of racegoers flocked to one of the biggest events on Port Augusta's social calendar. That's next. Thousands have dressed to impress for the annual Port Augusta Cup. Punters enjoyed all the festivities of the biggest event on the local racing calendar as a surprise horse took out the crown in the main race.
The Port Augusta Cup centres around racing, punting and socialising. But we know country races are more than just that. It's a perfect excuse to dress dapper and flaunt your style in fashions on the field. This quirky yet elegant design was given the thumbs up by judges.
Living in the outback, there are not heaps of opportunities to get dressed up, so I take every opportunity I can.
The day was a chance to socialise with family and friends.
You can just hear people laughing and chatting and talking all over the course. It's a really positive, great day.
Many punters tried to win big, but scrunched up betting tickets on the ground suggested otherwise.
You got backed any winners?
Nah, not me.
Got a couple of places, but no winners yet, no winners.
And once the bugle sounded for race 7, thousands flocked to get prime viewing for the Port Augusta Cup. Taking out the win was Al Dolphin. Trained by local Sue Nolan, it was a surprise winner at odds of nearly 100 to 1.
To be able to win it, I can't really put it into words at the moment. I'm still a bit overwhelmed by the whole thing, but extremely happy.
The Racing Club committee are thankful the weather gods were on their side and are praising the racegoers for making the day incident-free.
Crowd behaviour's been great and the people have enjoyed themselves, that's the main thing.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Well, there's just 2 months to go until Broken Hill's most glitzy and glamorous drag event returns for another year. Tickets to this year's Broken Hill Festival are almost sold out, with organisers encouraging those interested to get in now.
It's going to be absolutely fabulous, darling.
It's something that you've got to do, which is basically 3 days of disco, drag and divas in the desert.
The Broken Hill Festival has been running for 4 years now and looks set for its biggest year yet in 2018. Organisers say tickets are selling rapidly.
Our ticket sales are particularly tight at the moment. I haven't checked recently, but I know that they're limited now. We're putting the word limited in our advertising.
If the festival does sell out, it'll see 2,000 people attend the event. Tickets for the Sydney to Broken Hill train service sold out in just 4 days, with this year's lineup of performers proving to be a major draw card.
Well, our big headliner this year is Christine Arnoux. She's taking the main stage on Saturday night. She got really excited about the festival and, of course, agreed to come and perform for our audience. And then we have 2 fabulous vocalists, Dolly Diamond and Leather Lund. So we have a fabulous lineup of headliners, plus all of our drag queens.
Broken Hill continues to draw plenty of interstate festival goers to the city.
We had a feature focus in Air Canada magazine just recently, which is very exciting. So we're starting to get international interest now. You get to rock up and be fabulous and just have the best, most loving, inclusive, fabulous time.
The Broken Hill Festival runs from the 7th to the 9th of September. Patrick Roenke, Southern Cross News.
While local footy took a break this weekend for the state championships in Renmark, there was still plenty of other sport happening around the region. Garth Burley is in Port Augusta, and Garth, in the netball, Railways have extended their run at the top of the ladder.
Yes, Fraser, it was a hard-fought affair as the third-place Vikings looked to put pressure on the ladder leaders. Both teams had equal amounts of possession, although it was Railways who took better advantage of their scoring positions. The Railways' defence came out strong, putting pressure on the Vikings' shooters, although it was the shooters who kept their composure. At half-time, it was neck and neck, and Railway struggled to find luck, although quick counter-attacking through the edge of the court set up a flurry of late goals, Railways running away with a 14-point win. In Port Pirie, SM Celtic got over the line against Central Risdon, while in the other match, Tyre Peak was the star, as Blue Wren defeated Solomon Town by 16 points. Netballers in both Whyalla and Port Lincoln are still kicking up their feet over a school holiday break, with both comps to resume in 2 weeks' time. In soccer, celebrations were flowing freely at Whyalla's Croatia Soccer Club after they beat Steel 3-2 to take the cup title. They'll now look to continue their strong campaign in the league comp this week. In the State League, Northern Demons were left disappointed after a late goal from Adelaide Uni meant the points had to be shared, while a forfeit from Anglevale in both grades gave Savoy full points in both matches. In the Silver City, West netted 4 against Alma, and Celtic survived a tight-fought contest against St Joe's to win by a goal. While South Australian footballers were putting their best foot forward at the state championships, there was still footy in Broken Hill. 2 one-sided matches saw North make light work of Central, and South extended their unbeaten start to the season with a 149-point drubbing. So a bit of a light week in the region sport, as many athletes earn a much-needed break. But this chance to rejuvenate could prove very important for many teams as we move closer towards the pointy end of the season. Back to you, Fraser.
Thanks, Garth. We'll stay with us after the break. We'll have all the local weather details. And Amy, what a start to the new working week.
It sure was a lovely start, Fraser, with the sun out to kick off another week. All the details are up next. Welcome back. Mostly sunny around the Spencer Gulf today. Temperatures in Port Augusta and Whyalla sat in the mid-teens. Port Lincoln and Broken Hill did see some cloudy skies with maximums of 15 and 14 degrees. On the satellite, and possible showers in the southeast, while high cloud in the central south won't be bringing any rain. However, skies are clear over the central and northern areas under a building ridge of high pressure. If you're out on the waters tomorrow, southerly winds will shift southwesterly at 10 knots, with seas reaching up to 1 metre. Sunrise is at 7:24, while it will set at 5:24. Looking at tomorrow's forecast, and the sun will continue to shine around all districts, maximums hitting 17 in Port Augusta and Woodner, while temperatures will sit a degree or 2 below in Whyalla and Port Lincoln. It's set to be a sunny week in Port Lincoln, with temperatures rising to 16 by Friday. Cleve will also experience mostly fine days, as will Woodner over the next couple of days, with a top of 18 towards the end of the week. Nothing but sunshine in Whyalla leading into the weekend, with a high of 17. A similar sunny forecast for Port Augusta and in Kadina, despite temperatures sitting a little cooler. A sunny 15 is expected on Friday. Mostly sunny to close out the week in Port Pirie and a top of 17. A cooler week ahead for Clare, however the sun will be shining, with similar conditions expected in Broken Hill and a high of 15 degrees on Friday. So Fraser, it's looking like a very sunny and bright week ahead around the region.
Great news. Thanks, Amy. And that's all from the team this Monday. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your evening. Good night.